In today's English lesson, you are going to learn how to use the 5 toughest words in English in your next conversation. I promise everything you need to know about these 5 words: through, tough, thorough, thought, and though. Now, I'm not saying if you watch this lesson once, you will know everything. No, you might need to watch it twice, which is 2 times, or thrice, which is 3 times. Yeah, okay, so maybe thrice does mean 3 times, but hey, no native English speakers ever use thrice. Unlike these 5 words that we're going to talk about today, they are used all the time. I probably use though about 100 times a day, or maybe even quadrice, which doesn't actually mean anything. I made it up, but it sounds like it should mean 4 times. Yeah, this is going to be a long lesson, but it will contain everything you need to know about the 5 toughest words in English. So you will be able to speak like a native English speaker if that is one of your goals. Whew, it is a hot one out today, but luckily I am under an umbrella. Let's talk about the first one, through. What makes this so difficult is that it has a couple different spellings, and each of those spellings have a slightly different meaning. Let's talk about this one first. When using this through, you could use it meaning moving from one place to another. For example, the train moved through the tunnel. Or this, I looked all through my house, but I still couldn't find my cell phone. You can use it in a similar way, only with time, not movement. How about this? Maybe you want to go shopping, but unfortunately, when you get to the store, you find out that store is only open Monday through Friday. In just a couple of weeks, I am going to be starting a new school year. Yes, I will be inside my classroom once again teaching. Our school year goes from, you can use from with through. Our school year goes from August through June. Maybe you like to travel. Hopefully you do, and hopefully you can go for a long period of time. You might say, I am going to be traveling from May through June. That would be nice. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you travel to? I don't want to make anyone mad, but I think 2 of my favorite countries to visit would be Brazil and Italy. You know what? Pakistan might be a close third. How can I forget about Iran? There's so many countries I want to visit. Can I change my answer to all of them? Here's another way you could use through. Let's say a man and a woman are dating, but after a while, the woman is getting sick of the guy. You might hear someone say, oh, she is through with him. It's another way to say that she broke up with him, she dumped him, she kicked him to the curb. Do you know that saying? The curb is like the side of the street, or she threw him out. But that through is spelled differently. That through is the past tense of throw. So you can throw a ball today, but you threw that ball yesterday. But if you notice with that woman who dumped that guy, she didn't literally pick him up, English phrasal verb, and throw him. No, she just forced him to leave someplace. I was thrown out of the movie theater for eating popcorn too loudly. No, that didn't happen, but I thought that would be a good sentence. Can you imagine how loud someone would have to be eating to get thrown out of a theater? One other way you might see through spelled is T-H-R-U. We mainly use this spelling when we talk about drive-through. You can go to a fast food restaurant like McDonald's, and instead of going inside the restaurant, you can stay in your car and go through the drive-through. Notice how that is spelt. 2 different ways. Did you know in the United States, some of our pharmacies have drive-throughs, which is really convenient. If you are sick, you don't have to go into the pharmacy to get your medicine. Oh, the next one is tough, and that word is actually tough. We'll talk about tough next. I had to come inside and cool off, but if you are learning any English at all, would you mind hitting that like button? Thanks so much. Did you notice that phrasal verb, cool off? For this next one, I thought, let's go for a walk. It's a little bit cooler today. The next one is tough. And it's weird because you would think it would end with an F, but it doesn't. So when you think of tough, think of strong, think of able to do hard things. And we could talk about someone who is mentally tough, which means their mind, or physically tough, which means their body. When I was in high school, I would like to think that I was physically tough because I played the sport of American football. And if you play American football, or here we just call it football, you are probably going to get hit a lot. It is tough to be a football player. You have to be tough. Let's say that you are going to join the military. You have to do hard things in the military. So you probably should be tough if you are going into the military. But let's talk about mental toughness. Maybe you want to challenge yourself. So you are going to take a really tough English class. It might be tough for you to get a good grade. So I mentioned that when I was in high school, I played American football. I don't think I could do that anymore. I don't like to get hit. As I get older, I don't think I'm as tough. So a couple words that mean the opposite of tough might be weak. Yes, I think I'm a little weaker now that I'm a little older. And also soft. That might be a little bit of slang, but I think you could call me soft today because I don't think I could play football. We also have a couple sayings in English where we use tough. One is fell on tough times. That means someone's life was going pretty well. Let's say they had a good job, but then for some reason they lost that job. They don't have as much money as they used to. They can't go out to eat anymore. Maybe they have to sell their car. Maybe they have to sell their house. We could say that they have fallen on tough times. What about this next one? Tough love. This is usually used for parents when it comes to their children. So most parents love their children. They don't want to see them hurt in any way, but sometimes parents have to punish their children just so they become better people. We don't want our children to be spoiled. So tough love is when you have to punish your child and it hurts you, maybe more than it hurts them, but in the end, it will make them a better person. Tough love. The next one is tough luck. Yeah, this could be a little bit rude. It basically means, you know what? You're going through a hard time, but I don't care. Let's talk about an example. Maybe you really want to go to a concert. You like this band and they're coming to your town, but unfortunately that concert is sold out. There are no more tickets. And maybe when you go to buy those tickets, the person selling them says, we're out of tickets. Tough luck. So too bad. I mean, you're having a bad feeling there because you're not getting your tickets, but that person doesn't really feel bad for you. They feel no sympathy. Tough luck. This one might be a little bit tough because it's long, might be a little bit hard. But we have a saying in English, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. That means when times are tough, when you are struggling in life, you need to toughen up, you need to get tougher, you need to get stronger and not get beaten down by those bad times. Let's go back to that person that lost their job. They had to sell their house. Well, they didn't cry about it. They didn't get all down and depressed. If the tough gets going when the going gets tough, that means they just tried harder to get a job, find some money to get another house, maybe a smaller house. I'll say it one more time as the mail gets delivered. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Yesterday it was really hot out and I mowed both my lawn and my neighbor's lawn. My neighbors, they went on vacation to Canada for a little bit and they said, hey, you can use our pool. So I thought it would be nice. Let's mow both lawns. I have to mow my lawn anyway, but guess what? It was a really tough job. I was sore and sweaty after mowing both lawns. You might also hear tough to beat. That means someone or something is really good. Let's say you go to a restaurant and they serve the best salad ever. Just in case there are any vegetarians watching. They serve the best salad ever. You can say, whew, that salad's gonna be tough to beat. Meaning you don't think there is another restaurant that serves a better salad. What about a soccer team? Or maybe you call it football. What about Arsenal? I don't know much about soccer. Are they a good team? Maybe they are tough to beat. Means you probably can't beat them. It was Crystal Palace, that's another one. Arsenal, Man City, Juventus. I'm an American. I don't know a whole lot about soccer or football. I wish I could tell you that the next one isn't gonna be as tough as tough, but it might be even tougher. The next one we'll talk about is though. All right, are we ready for this one? I think this might be the most difficult thing I've ever taught on this channel. Let's do our best here. We are going to try to learn though, just like a native English speaker. I think if you can use though the right way, you will sound a lot more like a native speaker because we use it all the time. Let's talk about the first way we use it. We use it to soften our words. It usually comes after a sentence where someone has said something kind of harsh, and we will soften it in the next sentence with a though. So this is how it might go. All right, let's say that you are invited to a party, but you have to work. So you could say something like this: oh, I can't go, I have to work. I really wish I could though. So you had a sentence or two at the beginning where you're explaining something kind of bad. You can't go to this party, this person wants you to, and then you soften your words at the end. We also say thanks though quite a bit. For example, maybe somebody is offering you some food. You're like, oh, I just ate, thanks though. So though can soften our words, make them not as harsh. I'm wearing a sweatshirt right now. It's a little cold today, believe it or not. But I could say to someone, hey, do you like this sweatshirt? That person could say, it's not really my style. So that could be harsh, but then they could have their second sentence where they use though. So they could say, it's really not my style, but it looks good on you though. So that's the first way we use though. Now, the other way we use though here in the United States, I think the British actually have a couple more ways, but luckily you're not learning British English. The other way we use though is almost like that tiny word as. For instance, every time I go to film a lesson, it's as though I am losing more hair. And that might be true, but it's also kind of sad. Let's say two people worked all day to clean the house. Let's call them Pam and Jim. And maybe Pam does way more work than Jim. When they are done, Jim could say, whew, that was some hard work. Pam could say, it's not as though you helped that much. So you can use though you can use though as kind of an insult. Let's say you and a friend, and this friend is going to be kind of mean, but let's say you and a friend are talking about an English test you took. You might say, oh, I did really badly on that test. And they could say, it's not as though you studied all that much. Really mean, right? But hey, maybe you didn't study that much and you deserved a bad grade. It doesn't always have to be negative. Let's say it started raining and you want to tell a friend who's not there exactly how dark the sky got. You could say it was as though the day turned into night. It was as though it was midnight out. Yeah, this one is really hard, but we use though to soften our words, and we use though as kind of like saying as. Feel free to leave some examples in the comments below, and I will tell you if they are right or not. The next word is tough, but luckily it's not as tough as though. The next word is throughout. I think the hard part of throughout is actually pronouncing throughout. 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 Not easy. I used to like coming to film here at this ball field, but they've really let it go. Nobody has been mowing the lawn. Those dugouts over there, probably a good place for us to do the next one. I'll just have to check my legs for ticks when I leave here. Yes, I do have the dad shoes on, but they are new dad shoes. I used to have blue dad shoes. Now they're gray. All right, let's try to make our way over to the dugout without getting too many ticks on us. A few water bottles were left here, but otherwise it's pretty clean. Good place for us to talk about throughout. Throughout. Yeah, and throughout is a bonus word. At the beginning of the lesson, I didn't plan on explaining it, but throughout should definitely be included on this toughest words list. Throughout is a lot like a word we have talked about in this lesson, and that word is through. But throughout means like every part from beginning to end. For example, when I talked about through, I talked about traveling. I said I am going to be traveling from May through June. To use throughout, you would take like a single month, like May, and say I am going to be traveling throughout the month of May. So for all of that part of May, you will be traveling. I also use the example of I looked all through my house but couldn't find my phone. You can use throughout in a similar way. You can say I looked throughout my entire house and I still didn't find my phone. So in some ways, those two words are very much alike. Here are a couple more examples using throughout. How about you worked out for the first time in a long time? The next day, you can say, I hurt throughout my whole body, from head to toe, the whole part. What if you go to a movie and maybe there is a person in the front row coughing and they coughed the whole time from beginning to end? You can say, I went to a movie, but it was ruined because a woman coughed throughout the movie. Maybe you couldn't sleep one night. You can say, I tossed and turned throughout the whole night. Do you know that term? Tossing and turning? It's not very fun. Let's talk about the next one. Thorough. Thorough. All right, thorough. Thorough. Also not easy to pronounce, and also kind of easy to get confused with throughout. Thorough. Which one am I explaining right now? Thorough. Thorough, it means complete. It means done with care. It means carefully inspected. How about this for an example? We talked about having pain throughout your entire body. Well, maybe you are concerned, so you visit the doctor. You want the doctor to do a thorough exam. Thorough exam from head to toe. You have pain throughout your entire body. See how these can be so easily confused? And let's talk about the spelling of thorough. It kind of looks like you would say though at the beginning and then rough. How do we get thorough out of that spelling? Let's talk about that lost phone. You could search thoroughly throughout your entire house and still not find that phone. Or how about car keys? I am always losing my car keys. Thought. Now that one on its own is not too difficult, but when you have it spelled next to other words that look like it, it can be difficult. But thought is simply the past tense of think, which I think most people would know who have been studying English. But how about this term you could use in your next conversation, on second thought? It's very common in the United States. That's another way to say you have changed your mind. Let's talk about that party. I love to use that as an example. Let's say at first you tell your friend, yeah, sure, I will be there. But then you change your mind. You can say, you know what? On second thought, I probably shouldn't go. Maybe you've been partying too much. Maybe you have spent too much money lately. Maybe you just need a night inside. Maybe with a good book, studying your English. Or how about this one? Thought it over or think it over. Let's say your boss calls you into their office and maybe they want you to take on a new job, but it's a big decision. Your boss might tell you, hey, I don't need an answer now. Think it over. They give you some time to think. Maybe the next day you go into that office and you say, you know what? I thought it over and I would like that new position. I hope now you feel more confident using these 5 tough words plus a bonus word. If you're looking for more English, I did another deep dive lesson on the word brush. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.